Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. This whole narrative around the fires is changing now, because hiking in the woods doesn't cause fires. So Susan Holt, the premier of Nova Scotia, is called out on this. So now she's saying, seriously, she is saying that it is for your safety now because our resources are wearing thin. They are literally using the same playbook as the pandemic. They're using the pandemic talk. The government has done a shit job of fire prevention, and now the country is burning, and they are blaming you because of it. And now you must get locked down because you clearly are the problem. Listen to this.
A two-parter. I was wondering if you could tell me how much rain, uh, what
My
is the
God.
amount of rain that we've had this year, and what's the difference between last year and this year, and what's the average? And there are people who say that uh, they're losing their right to walk in the woods because of these restrictions, and it almost seems like the latest cultural obsession. And I was wondering what you have to say to people who have all this universal anger all of a sudden toward this plea, this request from the government to keep out of the woods.
Well, I'll leave the historical rain data. Maybe we can send that to you in a follow-up, because I think you were asking this year, past year averages, so we'll get that to you. But I do want to speak to the people who are frustrated by the notion of an inability to go hiking or fishing, and I understand that frustration. It's something that we all love to do as New Brunswickers, is to get out into the woods and to do that with our family, our friends, our pets, and otherwise. And the notion that me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire, I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous. But the reality is, it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you, because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out, because our first responders are focused on an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed, which is why we're asking New Brunswickers. This is something we're asking them to do. There are private woods where you can do what you want in New Brunswick, but we're asking you to make the safe choice for our first responders, for your neighbors, and for our woods. We can do that on the public lands that the government has authority over, and we're asking you to recognize that, yes, you want to go for a walk in the woods. Okay, well, like, there's a lovely walk just nearby that doesn't threaten our first responders and our response to a dozen fires in this province that are getting worse by the day. And we need to keep our trails clear, our roads clear. We need to have as minimal barriers to the effective delivery of firefighting and to putting these out as possible. So it is an ask. We are asking New Brunswickers, please find somewhere else to walk with your friends and family right now, so that we can keep the risk of having to care for you in those places that are hard for us to reach, while we care for the people whose homes may be under threat in Irishtown, for the people that are experiencing fires outside the Miramichi and Bathurst.
My God, who hires these people? This is all hypothetical. Are your resources being strained? I wish somebody would just call these people out. These terrible politicians. Why are you not putting out the fires? Why have you not brought in help? Why haven't you like went out to the communities and got all the volunteers? Why aren't you putting the fires out? Why do you guys always suck at your jobs? It's astonishing. And the reporter was asking for the rainfall data. Well, I got number of fires in areas burned in Canada by year. In 1989, there was close to 14,000 fires burned and no lockdowns for your safety. In 1995, very similar, no lockdowns for your safety, of course. And when you go to 2019, even with our lava-like weather networks saying that we're melting because of plus 30 heat, even with all of this crazy turmoil, it is nothing compared to previous years without lockdowns. This has nothing to do with your safety or fires. And by the way, there's even more evidence coming out about Stephen Guilbeault and how he let the Jasper wildfires burn and the years prior leading up to it with just complete mismanagement of the forest. We have a politician problem in Canada. And you know what? It's not just a politician problem. There is a civilian Canadian problem as well. Canadians really need to start saying no and shutting this nonsense down, yelling and screaming at Susan Holt, telling her to do her fucking job. That would rattle her cage a lot. Do your fucking job, put the fires out so you don't have to lock me down from going out into the forest. Canada is the only fucking country on earth right now that is doing this shit again. Seriously, Canada has a big, big problem. And this right here is the big one this week. The British Columbia Supreme Court's radical Cowichan decision threatens private property across British Columbia, and it will spread. It is the whole point of UNDRIP. It's where the NDP's land acknowledgements embrace of UNDRIP, uninvited guests, quote, language, undemocratic land use policies, and problematic HADA title recognition. We're always going to lead. This is where all of this nonsense was going to lead, was to land back. This is why I always say all roads lead to Western independence, is for land property rights, the right to protect your family, everything about you, you have a right to protect it. We need that constitution. All roads will lead to independence of some sort. It might take 10 years from now. It is going to happen because the way Canada is going right now, it will collapse. It is collapsing. The big reasons why is because there is no productivity. GDP growth, actual GDP growth is stagnant. It's nothing. Canada has not seen growth in like 4 years now. Canada is not growing. Canada is getting crushed under the foot of incompetence. Seriously, it is. The Americans right now in the United States, they're crushing it. Regardless of what anybody thinks because of what they are looking at, what stupid videos they're seeing in Canada. Look at the data of what the United States is doing right now in their growth and look at what Canada is doing right now. We are doing nothing. Canada is really good at saying we're building stuff and throwing money at pet projects that provide zero return. Canada is headed off a cliff economically. Seriously, record youth unemployment. The list goes on. And now we're finding out that natives can just hearsay their way into taking land titles away. So how many bazillionaires do you think are going to invest in Canada knowing that they could lose their property, that they have no property rights, that they might end up paying reparations or something ridiculous year over year for something that may not have ever existed? Listen to this.
Where to begin with the bombshell BC Supreme Court decision on the Cowichan case? First, don't think that it doesn't affect you, because it does. The judge declared Aboriginal title to an area of land in Richmond, BC, including over private property. This is massively significant. The judge talked about BC's Land Title Act, which governs the registration of land ownership. She wrote, "It cannot be said that a registered owner's title under the Land Title Act is conclusive evidence that this registered owner is indefeasibly entitled to that land as against Aboriginal title holders and claimants." And while she starts to say that fee simple interest will go unaffected in practice when Aboriginal title is recognized over that land, she then adds, unless or until the Aboriginal title holder successfully takes remedial action in respect of the fee simple interests. In other words, according to this decision, private property is genuinely under a very real threat from Aboriginal title claims like this one. It's frustrating because the path our provincial government has taken was always going to lead here. From constant land acknowledgements to elected representatives referring to non-Indigenous British Columbians as uninvited guests, to the province's land back policies, to their undemocratic land use planning processes and their overlaying of Aboriginal title over private land in Haida Gwaii. Now it's affecting private property, and frankly, no one should be surprised. And this is just the start, because if this case stands, it sets a precedent for future cases across BC. Private property rights are the bedrock of our system, and a clear title to property is crucial for mortgage renewal, property values, business certainty, and more. This case can and should be appealed, but Premier David Eby has yet to commit to that. He's talking about out-of-court negotiations, but there's concern that letting this decision stand will not only set a precedent, but also cost the province valuable leverage in those talks. Get in touch with David Eby. Call him, write him, reach out to him at Dave_Eby on social media.
And it will do nothing because these people don't care. They are full-on commies. This is Carolyn Elliott, by the way. Highly recommend if you are interested in stuff like this. Give her a follow. We knew this was going to happen, especially with the gun buyback bullshit. That was our property. The government can, at the whim of a pen, can do whatever they want because they don't care about you. They don't care, which is why this is going on. This is why nothing is happening. We have a prime minister that says he is going to make Canada an energy superpower. He is going to get these huge national uniting projects getting built. But yet tanker bans are still in place. Bill C-69, the No Pipelines bill, is still in place. He is not serious about getting anything built. Because if he was, all those bills already would be gone. And the online censorship bill. All of these journalists, all of these videos of just regular people speaking truth and their experience are being suppressed right now. And in the fall, it is going to get even worse with the Online Harms Act. The United States is watching Canada. And all this Canadian government is doing is giving Donald Trump leverage because we are getting less free while Donald Trump is making the United States more free. And he will say, I guarantee it, that he will not do business with Canada as long as we support Palestine and we have suppression of speech, online and offline. The list goes on. I imagine down the road, he'll end up making a deal that sounds too good to be true. He'll match dollar per dollar for whatever it is that's in your piggy bank to just become the 51st state. And at that point, when he says that, I think a lot of people will be in agreement with it because they pretty much already are. I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. All of you out there, like, share, and take care, and stay out of the woods.